What up, nerds? This is gonna be a shorter video, and I'm not gonna do lots of pictures and stuff, because I just need to respond to something real quick. I was fucking around on Facebook earlier today. Bad idea, do not recommend. And I saw this thing get posted, spreading the word about a national general strike on October 15th. I looked at the website of the people who are trying to organize the strike. I don't see any information about which organization is trying to put this together. Like, in the About Us page, it just says our team, and then if you click Contact Us, it just shows their social media and their email. Our goals: 25% corporate tax rate, no loopholes, free healthcare for all, 12 weeks paid maternity and paternity leave, $20 minimum wage 4-day work week, stricter environmental regulations on corporations, ban on single-use plastics and microplastics, and limited emissions. So far, so good. I'm down. The banning of single-use plastics, I'm a little bit suspicious because I feel like that isn't punishing the corporations, that's punishing the consumer. And, maybe we don't need to sell soda pop in single-use plastic bottles, but certainly in things like the medical field and in scientific research, there are certain items you need that the only way to get the job done is with a single-use plastic. But most of these seem like reasonable things to ask for. What you can do: abstain from going into work starting on October 15th. Do not participate in economic activity starting on October 15th. I'm not sure how you're going to survive without being able to buy food, but contact your local representatives to express our demands, spread the word, and inform your family, friends, and colleagues about the strike. Increase class consciousness by educating those around you through our Learn page. And then they also say sign a petition. Let's see what's on the Learn page. Let's see. Doesn't look like they're linking to any political theory. They're just about striking. Will I get fired? The law provides some protection for striking workers. Companies fire people for illegal reasons all the time, so please use caution and your own discretion when disclosing to your employer. My dog's making dog noises in the background, so y'all are just gonna have to watch a movie with dog noises in it. Guys, don't do this, okay? Don't call off work on October 15th. Alright, this is not gonna work. So, a strike is not the same thing as everyone skipping work. It's not everybody just calling off and staying home to play video games. It is an active and militant activity that involves forming picket lines to try to discourage scab workers, consumers, and associated businesses from entering the business. Like, a strike is a protest, really. And obviously, as they mentioned on the website, just because your employers are not allowed to fire you for striking doesn't mean they won't. The law doesn't really give any fucks about the rights of workers, and unless you can afford a lawyer, you need to keep yourself safe. So you really should not strike unless you know 100% that the large majority of your workplace is on board. Organizing a strike can be a very long and difficult process that involves lots of preparation. First, you have to make sure everyone's on board. You have to raise money for a strike fund for the workers to live off of when they're not getting paid. And you have to devise active militant tactics to make the strike as effective as possible. For these reasons, the entire workplace needs to be organized first before it can strike, which usually means forming a union. So wildcat strikes, which are when people go on strike without a union or against the opinion of union leadership, this still happens. But this still requires a massive amount of planning among the workers. Still, it is way better to have protection from a union if you do attempt to strike. Unionizing a workplace is a difficult process that can take months or even years. It involves building relationships with coworkers, getting a good count of how many people work there, assessing the consciousness of the workers, waging an effective counter-propaganda campaign against the bosses who will be discouraging people from joining the union, and getting people to sign a petition for there to even be a vote on the union. And unionizing, just like going on strike, is dangerous. Just because your employers aren't allowed to retaliate against you doesn't mean they will not. So, unless you can afford a good lawyer, do not attempt to unionize your workplace by yourself, okay? Do not try to do it by yourself. What you need to do is to seek out an already existing union or workers' organization who will give you support in the process and help you do it in a way that is safe and effective. So, like a lot of you might be feeling, well, if I go to the store on that day, or if I go to work on that day, am I a strike breaker? Am I a scab? In order for you to be a strike breaker, there actually has to be a strike. And large numbers of people calling off work randomly around the country is not a strike. So, usually the way a general strike works, usually it happens workplace by workplace. So one workplace will go on strike, and other workplaces may strike in solidarity if they like the cause. And then before you know it, the whole town is on strike. It is possible to have, an absurdly large general strike that encompasses absurdly large amount of the working class. For example, in India recently, there was a general strike in which about 200 million people were all on strike together, and that's pretty fucking rad. But, it took a lot of time and momentum to build up to that point. And there were strike actions going on and off for several months in India before that general strike happened. So maybe this sounds to you like I'm just being some kind of Debbie Downer, some kind of pessimist. I'm telling you that this work is difficult, it requires patience and planning, it's a long process, and unfortunately that's just what activism is like. I'm not saying this to try to discourage you from acting, I'm trying to encourage you to act in a way that is intelligent and effective. I'm saying that unless you do this correctly, it's not going to work. I know there are lots of people who are angry and frustrated and really want to go out in the street and set cop cars on fire and punch Nazis and whatnot. But, getting off your ass to quote-unquote go do something doesn't always look like a lot of romance and danger and excitement. In fact, most of the time, the work that needs to be done is going to be pretty unexciting. So if you decide to join a revolutionary organization, sometimes your job will be doing data entry, making phone calls for a political campaign, organizing a reading circle, and sometimes just sitting out on a street corner and selling newspapers to passers-by. And you have to go to a lot of meetings. So if you are a young socialist or a young revolutionary just getting involved in activism for the first time, or has only been in the game a short while, your job is to seek out older, more experienced comrades who have been around the block a few times and to educate yourself. Okay, those are the things you need to do. You need to find experienced people who know how this stuff works, and the way you do that is by joining a revolutionary organization, becoming a dues-paying member, going to regular branch meetings, and participate in the organization's activities. Internet friends do not count as an organized group, unless your main tactic is dogpiling people on the internet and trolling. And I'm sorry, anarchists, but loosely associated cells in local areas doesn't count as getting organized. Joining a group that makes all decisions by consensus with no formal democratic structures and leadership, that is not organized. It has to have formal democratic structures and leadership. It needs to have internal rules and procedures to keep members safe, protects the group's reputation, and holds leadership accountable, such as, for example, a harassment policy. If it's a bigger organization, it must be able to do coordinated action between branches under national, preferably international democratic leadership. And if it's a small organization, you want to find one that's aspiring to grow bigger. If you are especially interested in labor organizing, I suggest you join the industrial workers of the world. They have unionized many workplaces in the past, and they have not given up their revolutionary values over time like many other union organizations have. I'm not an IWW member, but that is the reputation they have among leftist circles. And your other job that you have, if you're a young revolutionary, is learning theory. Read. Learn about political and economic theory. Learn about revolutionary tactics and the history of revolutionary movements, both the ones that succeeded and the ones that failed. And whatever organization you join, if it's a good, proper organization, they will take large amounts of time to help you along with that education. If you're spending a lot of time reading books and going to meetings, that might feel a lot like sitting around and doing nothing while the world burns down around you. But if you are a newer lefty, that is what you need right now, okay? You are a little fetus and not a developed revolutionary cadre, and you need nourishment and support and training. Because the left in the United States has been so beaten down, like, we don't have large numbers of older comrades who know how to do these things. People are trying to form their political theory by messing around on the internet and not doing it with an actual group of people who can guide them in the right direction and keep their heads in reality. And the idea of collective action altogether in America, the idea of actually planning something carefully and carrying it out as a group, like, that just doesn't really exist in our culture anymore. And so, when people are ready to fight for change, it makes sense why you're seeing things like telling people to not go to work and calling that a strike, or telling people to write to their congressman, telling people to not buy certain consumer goods, things that a person can do on their own, when those things really don't work. They don't work. I'm sorry. I mean, you can write to your congressman if you want, but, there's nothing you can say to him that'll convince him to go against his wealthy funders. You can boycott Amazon or Chick-fil-A all you want, but they're not going to miss your miserable amount of pocket change. But, if you organize the workers of those companies, then you have potential to actually start getting stuff done. Because just one worker has way more power over a company than 1,000 consumers do. But doing it through the route of worker organization is hard. Okay, I'm sorry, this is just what it is on the left right now. And this is just something that we have to learn to psychologically deal with. The fight ahead of us is hard. It's going to take a long time, and there are no guarantees of success. And it's gonna be a grind and not some exciting battle. And, I worry when people try out these, crazy tactics and see that they don't work, it's going to discourage people from continuing to try. It's going to get people to, swallow that black pill and give up on the idea of progress. And, that's really not what I'm trying to tell you at all, because change is possible. We can actually win those things that they listed on their list of demands on their website. Those are possible. We know revolution is possible because revolutions have happened before in many different countries. Social problems do not have individual solutions, okay? The only way that we are going to move even an inch in improving this hellhole is if we do it together. And by together, I mean, actually together and planning it out. And this, meme, calling for a random general strike and just hoping that enough people spread it around and follow it, that's not organizing. That's not the sort of collective, planned action that we need. So don't skip work on the 15th, okay? Go about your life and then spend your time doing things that are actually going to get shit done, like finding a revolutionary organization, becoming a dues-paying member, and participate in organizational activities. If you want more information about how to go about doing that, if you're nervous and you don't know where to start, you can email me at ghostontheohio, periods in between each word, @gmail.com, or you can DM me on Facebook. On the channel, I have chosen not to reveal which organization I belong to, both to protect my own privacy and also because I don't really want the pressure of having to represent the entire organization with every video I make. But if we talked privately, I definitely can tell you more about my own organizing experience, and I can help you find which organizations are active in your area, or which organizations at least accept at-large members. So don't do anything stupid, and go get involved. That's the take-home message. Thank you for listening.